So here with us this evening, we have Mrs. Patterson, Mrs. Automatis, Mrs. Davis, and Mrs. Pounds. So I will turn the floor over to you, ladies.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get it rolling. I have it written down, otherwise I ramble. So we're going to start off. Hello, I am Becky Pounds, your AVID District Director, and I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to attend the AVID Summer Institute in Anaheim with our site team, Amy, Kathy, and Casey. It was an intense 3-day training.
Always.
Giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Nicole, how have you been?
Good. How are you doing?
Amazing. Catching my tail.
Sorry
I'm late.
Oh, no, you're good. I know, I'll tell you, Cody got stuck in.
Yeah, he texted me, because I texted him, I said, hey, I'm running pretty late. I'm on my way, but it's going to be like 6:15.
No, I didn't even know. Nobody told me what Cody was.
We just found out. Yeah,
Well, I'm sorry. Started being late.
we went on a field trip.
That's what I heard. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good job, good
I wish
job.
I would have seen it.
Good job, Brenda. Very good. And this is helpful too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all, appreciate it. That was wonderful.
Okay, we are back from the field trip at 6:07 p.m.
We have everybody? Okay.
Cool, huh?
We're going to move on to the housekeeping items. Agenda. I
No.
believe everything is good
Yep.
there. And now we're going to move on to the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over those? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is payroll and bills.
Yes, so the reports that I sent you have quite a few details, including payroll and all the bills and encumbrances and open purchase orders and that sort of thing. And I'm happy to stand for questions. I do want to say that there were 3 notes I said to the financials. One is that we're not doing bars yet. We're still entering contracts and supplemental contracts, and so I didn't feel like we had to move money out of Fed programs in July because they said we couldn't spend it, and we're moving that back. So I'm not ready to submit any bars for moving things around. So yes, I know that there's some negative line items, some functions that are negative.
Just want to comment, if you're online with us, would you please make sure you're muted unless you have a question? Thank you.
And there was one purchase order that was improperly coded to Fund 31200. So the whole fund looks like it was in the negative in July. However, it's already been moved, but it happened in August when I saw it. It's been moved to 31701, which is SB 9. It was plumbing repairs.
I saw that.
So that's been moved and cleaned up. And then activity accounts are still going to require some work. When I pulled activity reports from last fiscal year end, June 30th, what the balances showed are not what the sponsors agree. I've had several say, no, this doesn't look right, which they didn't. I'm going to say K-12 was not keeping everything completely separate from the roll-up account, which is $23,000. That is the main account that we have to report to PED. At Corona, we have separate funds assigned under that nobody looks at. PED never looks at those. They only want to see the totals. And so we have some discrepancies, and I need to go back multiple years to look at all the revenues, all the expenditures, to get true balances for each of those activity funds, which there's quite a few. So I'm hoping, my goal is to have those by Monday of next week, but it is going to take a little bit of time. And then I wanted to ask, on the graphs, if there was something else you want. I tried to simplify how they had been presented in the past because they kind of were small. Is there something else you'd like to see? Did you like seeing it as a budget, year-to-date expenditures? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I like totals.
Okay.
And then there are those that like details, that's fine. But I like to look at the grand total and looking at it in graph form, just, snapshot and kind of get a visual of what's going on. So no, that works for me.
Okay. Okay.
I do have some questions on 31100 building purchase for 235,000.
That was your
That's the house.
house.
That's the house?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
I want to make sure.
Yes.
And then, was the 29,000 in the SB9 local was 29,256, was that part of it too?
SB9 Local 31701? Is that the one you're looking
Yes.
at?
Is that the water line project?
It could be the,
It's probably the water line
Yes.
project under the gym.
Okay, yeah.
if it's under SB9, that is the
Yeah.
carryover of the water.
All right.
Yes.
And then when, we have 620,000 encumbered, and year-to-date is 12.5, and current is 12.5. Is that some of our, 'cause I know some of it's construction.
Yeah.
It is.
services.
So one of the things that let me look at that construction one, because I think it's like 447,000 that's.
Yeah, 447.
I believe
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to release that. I think that's that carryover PO that you had told me, they abandoned the work. It was a security project? or
Yeah, it's
something?
Apex PO.
Apex, okay.
That did it, but
So
it
that
might
will
have been
be
a duplicate
released.
PO issued by CES and us. So we're waiting for CES to give us the clearance because
Yes.
the project's not completely closed out yet, but hopefully by the end of next week, when CAMNet comes in with the rest of the sensors, that project can be completely closed out, which we have a separate PO for CAMNet already for the $3,000 worth of work on the door sensors and hardware to make sure they work. That's existing. So once that is completely done and
We
Verkada
can
gives us
close.
the clearance, we can close out more than likely that duplicate PO that was there because I believe it was issued through CES.
And it was a carry
local.
forward
Oh,
PO.
yeah.
It was
It was a
one that I
carry forward.
rolled forward. Yes.
What about the payroll?
Payroll?
Job.
So,
job
under-
class is 1211.
I'm sorry, which one?
Job class is 1211. Who is that? 118,367 is the encumbrance, or the budget, sorry.
What function?
That's Amanda.
Budget there.
Yes, that's Amanda.
That's Amanda's
When the
position.
budget was done, there were 2 positions placed here, and one was the director of curriculum, and the other was the business manager, because that's
Right.
where K-12 had been paid out of in the past.
All right. What
You
is,
get a paycheck, so thank
Hey,
you.
hey, there we go.
Fund 26107, what is that? It says REC District Fiscal Agent.
That was the Ed Fellows program.
Ed Fellows.
That was the reimbursement.
All right. So then what's 24189?
That is Title IV.
But what is it?
It is kind of health and wellness of students.
Okay,
It's $10,000.
yeah.
We had a $9,000 carryover.
Yeah. And in 21100, which is food service, why is there not any encumbrance at all?
That was a question I actually had that I needed to sit down and talk to Curtis about, and food services. So that is the universal free. That is a
Right.
separate funding stream from the state, and I just think it didn't get utilized last year.
Yeah.
And so we will be looking at making those moves.
What I'm afraid of, when I saw
Uh-huh.
that free lunch thing, I thought, if we don't use it, they're gonna take it, they're
Right.
gonna claw it back.
Right.
So,
Yep.
I think we need to use it.
I agree. I agree.
Not on salt, sorry. No.
What's that?
I said, but not on salt,
Not on
sorry.
salt.
Just kidding.
Don't for me.
And
Pepper and
and Barb, to
garlic.
fill you in a little bit on that, K-12 didn't utilize that fund when we would tell them to code it.
Yeah, it
They-
just never was,
It just
it
never
wasn't
was
used
used by
last
them.
year either. So we'll get it spent though this year, for sure.
We'll have carryover, or, like, give us,
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
Yes, no, it's already part of the
already part-
budget.
Yeah.
Yes, this budget
Yeah.
includes what they anticipated our carryover would be. Yes, it won't be any more.
okay. That was all my questions, guys.
Great
I have
questions. Yes.
So, I'm just trying to understand how, I really like this summary, by the way.
Okay, good.
I like this.
Good.
Okay, so on the top line there, you have the budget for almost 3.3 million. And then you have the year-to-date of the 225,000.
Expenses for operational.
Right, and so then when you look at the year-to-date percentage of.
So I did that of the total expenses. I didn't, and I just added a line right before this.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do another line that says percent of total to budget, because I did it for the total expenditures when I did this.
Okay.
So-
I was just trying to understand how that was working.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, but I will add that column because I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
And you've worked on you explained to me the
Yes, and I want to explain to everybody are you talking about the
Yeah,
bank
bank
statement?
Yeah, that was my next question.
yes.
So with the bank statement, there's a couple of things I needed you guys to be aware of. We didn't balance for the primary reason, and you can see when you look at I did a kind of a summary of what happened. We were off $41,506.02, but when you look at the bank statement, which should be at the very back, and I highlighted the items that they're sitting, well, the deposits for Torrance County, we have not been able to get the documentation from Torrance County to book those deposits. I'm going to go ahead and, we're going to just go ahead and do it, but usually there's a fee that we have to charge, that they charge us, and I wanted to be able to split it out properly, but we have not been successful. Curtis has reached out to them, Hannah's reached out to them, she's called them, so we don't know where they're sending the report to, but the other two items are in fiscal year 24-25. They were vouchered in fiscal year 24-25, but they're not, they're payroll liabilities. So they're not just sliding right over. There's a process, and because my NIMCA bill didn't balance, I didn't feel comfortable just moving everything until I can balance. I'm not done with year end is basically what I'm saying. So we have the NIMCA bill that we had to pay, and we had our taxation and revenue, where if you look in the system, they booked them and they vouchered them, but they didn't pay them. I ended up having to pay them, but I have not rolled them forward, and I have not rolled forward fund balances because I'm not convinced we're clean yet on fiscal year 25. I'm still working through all that, and our board meetings unfortunately just come so quick in the new month which is great, but I just have not had the time with setting up the new fiscal year, getting payroll run, and no one has missed a check, right? Everybody's been paid, and trying to make sure that the day-to-day operations, I just have not finished closing year end.
You know who you might check with is your budget analyst, because they get some stuff from the counties.
Oh, you know what, we got one for Lincoln County.
Yeah, Lincoln and Sakura have been pretty
They've
good.
been really good.
For some reason, Torrance has not been doing it, and we did get them for a while.
They get information too, because
Okay.
they're the ones that tell us what our.
Budget analyst.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know.
I'll check in with them.
Budget analyst to help you with it.
Okay.
You might have more.
But it balances, I guess is what I'm saying, is I know exactly where it's at
Yeah.
once I can get the 2 years cleaned up,
So,
or the end of
and
the
that's
year.
great. That, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. But in this 41,000, is that, in these amounts you have over here to the left, are those cumulative for the last few years? Or are those recent out of balance?
These are recent. These
Okay.
are payroll liabilities from
Okay.
June. I do want to point out, though, I know we've had this conversation briefly about, if you look on page, there's other outstanding distributions on, it's around page 5? 4? 5. It's around page 5, so it's probably on the back side, or starts, but it says page 1, and it's right before the bank statement. It says outstanding other disbursements listing, sorry. There are direct vouchers that are still outstanding from fiscal year 23-24. Why? I can't tell you. I think the one that is May 1st for $33,000 is probably a NIMSIA payment, because that's about how much NIMSIA is, between $33,000 and $40,000. I'm thinking that's NIMSIA, a payroll. I don't know. I did call Tyler Technologies to help us figure out how to clear these, and the person that I spoke with on Friday was not able to help me, so she elevated it. It's Wednesday. If I will call them again tomorrow and see if I can get some guidance, because her thought was that they didn't roll some liabilities forward, but they went ahead and they paid them in the new year and didn't clear them out, and they've just been hanging there. So we have to do the correct entries to get them out of there, but until they investigate the actual entries.
So these are like AP? Is that what this is?
They're actually payroll. They're payroll.
Payroll.
Payroll liabilities. And when I say payroll liabilities, I'm talking about NIMSIA, your health insurance. I'm talking about your workers' comp, federal taxes that we have to pay. All of those are done through what's called a direct voucher process in the accounting system. And really, they should clear within about 45 days total, because you pay them and you check it off. But for some reason, these are still hanging, and I don't know. I don't have an answer still as to why. But we're working to clear them out.
So there was that issue.
Because it's a double entry accounting
Yes,
system.
that's
so
right.
you have-
It's,
Right.
yeah,
So there's still,
That's
there's
why I
4
thought it was-
entries every
right,
single
yeah.
time.
So we had those errors at the end of, and I'm wanting, they fixed them.
Of
but I
24?
I
wonder-
don't think they did.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is they may not have fixed them.
Yeah, they didn't.
Because once you cut the check, it should credit cash and debit the liability. The liability goes away. So I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it
There's a step that
happened.
got lost in there.
Mhm.
Well,
I did get the quarterlies done, though, the 6/30 quarterlies. I did those for the public ed, cash balanced, everything balanced according to their reports. So I feel, I think we're on the right track. There's just a lot of entries I think
Yeah.
we're going to have to do to clean some of these things up.
And I was telling Vicki, we may have to wait for the auditor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't comfortable rolling the funds forward. You can roll them more than one time, but I felt like we needed to clean them up as best as we could before, because otherwise I have to reverse them and then do it again. So I would rather we close out FY25 completely and feel confident, and then roll, and then if the auditors tell us we need to do some other entries, we will.
well, it
shore
sounds like
things
you
up.
have a good handle, so thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been a lot
Okay.
to wrap my head around.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions on payroll or bills? I need a motion to approve.
I so moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda are the bars.
And like I said, we won't have any this time.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the principal's report.
So, we had open house on July 30th, which we had a really great turnout for that. I was really surprised at the amount of people that showed up, but it was great. I mean, you know, a lot of the wind farm, our new kids, they came in, checked out our school. Everybody got to go visit with the teachers. You know, the teachers worked diligently to have their classrooms ready, set up to make the kids feel comfortable, prepared. The the parents came with a lot of questions within their individual classrooms, and I think that was extremely beneficial for building those relationships. You know, it kind of started early on for our newer people. The first week of school, our teachers worked together as groups, since there were, you know, teachers and students out for Fair Week. They worked together and had students do a lot of activities. They went over norms, routines, procedures, group activities, and they started on some beginning of year diagnostic testing. The kids really enjoyed being in groups together. Like the high school was in the boardroom quite a bit of the time. You know, they introduced the Avid books and binders. They went over the handbook extensively every class period, went over a section of the handbook, and they got to go over those.
Don't forget win it to minute.
Oh.
Minute to win it, whichever one was saying. Everybody's yelling in the hallway, so
Yeah.
that competition was pretty cool, watching the kids get at it.
They were very active. They really liked the mind games that the teachers had planned for them. They were very engaged in all of their activities. For dual credit, we do have 100% participation for grades 10, 11, and 12.
Excellent.
Half of them are CTEs, half of them are going the associate route. Just keep in mind with our juniors, you know, getting an associate's within 2 years could be a struggle for them. They might not quite reach that associate since it takes 3 years to get that. But we do have all their paperwork back and plan on submitting all of that tomorrow.
I don't know how you guys presented that, but however you did, it was good, because Courtney was engaged. And she wanted to have an in-depth conversation with me on, and
That's awesome.
so, yeah, so however you guys did that, it was successful. Yeah. So just positive feedback. Oh, thank you, so good job.
And we do have new staff members, so we did get our elementary special ed position filled with Miss Lorraine Spencer, and she comes to us from Taos. She also has a lot of dyslexia training and other methodology things that she would like to. She's very excited to be able to give some PD to our teachers if they're willing and able to do that. We have Miss Michaela Eldridge, who is PE and history. Our teachers and our students are absolutely loving getting to have physical education every day. I think it's changed the elementary, the students, I think it's changed them a lot to have that structured PE time.
And I bet Michaela does a great job.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, yeah.
I went and subbed in there when she was going up.
Oh, yeah.
This is not for me.
It's pretty rough.
Well, there just wasn't a lot of fairness going on.
No.
I was like, well, sorry. And then we also have Miss Becky Pounds for math, CTE, and Avid. And then Miss Bianca.
Quinones.
Thank you. And she is our educational assistant. She is helping out with K1. And she, her and Miss Zamora have clicked really well. You know,
Well, they know each other
yes.
forever.
Yeah.
They already have a system down. The kids go here, they go there. Like,
Excellent.
she's been a great addition.
That's a way for her to make
So what's
sense.
our
Robert's
numbers?
losing her banker.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Dana,
Go to the bank.
what were our numbers as of yesterday? Or Monday, because I'm not sure we ran them yesterday.
telling them, like, look.
What is it?
89, so.
89.
You need these.
Elementary, we have 47
That'd be great.
students.
Yeah.
High school, we have 42, and that's with 2 that came and enrolled yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So they're still trickling in. And then 17 of those currently have IEPs, 10 elementary and 7 high school.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions for Randa?
Have we turned any kids away?
No?
No.
Oh,
So
our pre-K is maxed out at 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just wondering.
3-year-olds.
Yeah, 3-year-olds, exactly. but-
I've turned
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, okay, sorry.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right, well, thank
I
you,
didn't think
ma'am.
we had, but, all right.
Excellent, good job.
Good job.
Okay. And director's report.
So I'll start with a fair report. Holding true to Corona tradition, every one of our kids made the sale, which is
Yay.
phenomenal and amazing. We had the champion Duroc with Brenton's first year. She had the champion Duroc
That's
and I think a second place Hamp, and Aubrey had some, I don't know, seconds, thirds, fourths, somewhere in there. And the sheep and goat barn we all sat kind of right there, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, couple that didn't place as well, but, and then we had the reserve champion steer. We had a couple showmans. Grady Gutierrez will win showmanship in every animal that he shows.
He has a very good fair.
He's very passionate. Yeah.
But a sad day on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. And he had the grand steer. They are under our umbrella, so they're part of us. And then Courtney got showmanship, I believe, in the steer barn, and there wasn't a junior showman though in cattle, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, just senior
Just
and novice,
and
and so we
novice,
had
right.
both of those. Skeet was junior showmanship in goats, Cooper was junior showmanship in sheep, and so they held their own at the fair, and all the animals sold phenomenally. It was a
Record.
fantastic-
It was a record.
Yeah,
The
fantastic
sales.
sale, so it was great.
Yeah.
And they all came back to school a little tired. In fact, at one point, Tripp's head was this far from his keyboard in English, so Roxy told him he needed to get more sleep. But they're all back in, and we're now all back on campus, so that's a good thing. You've got the AVID presentation, and my plan this moving forward is to be in Casey's room on Mondays from 1:45 to 2:45. That's my open period throughout the day, and to meet with Casey on Mondays and Kathy on Tuesdays and Amy on Wednesdays, and then we meet as a collective on Thursdays. That way we're kind of staying on top of these shifts into project-based learning in the AVID space, because I'm learning AVID, right along with them. So that's the plan there. With some of the scheduling, juniors and seniors, where they got the presentation was I have them first hour for an intervention online period. Almost every one of our classes has a spot where they're getting intervention or online time to work on those classes, and we went over, Eastern has done a phenomenal job creating those pathways and
Yes.
lining them up, whether they start in freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. They were shocked to realize they could earn their CNA license in 5 classes. And they had no clue that they could be a CNA after 5 classes. And then, so we talked about that and how they could get that and work their way through college and use that if they wanted to pursue nursing, if they wanted, a lot of them, it was really funny to watch their brains. There's a wildland fire one, and they were like, hey, if I get my CNA, that puts me ahead in wildland fire, and then I can be the medic that's on the fires. And like they were rolling with it. It was great, and it gave me goosebumps whenever I asked all 12 or 10, 11, and 12th grade who was wanting to take dual credit, and they all raised their hand, and so it gave me goosebumps and chills to know that they're that passionate and excited about it too, moving forward. And so I think we have a couple outstanding applications that we'll gather tomorrow morning, and then we'll send them all off, and they'll be enrolled. With bringing on our sped teacher in the elementary, she's trained in the Scottish Rite Take Flight dyslexia training, which is an entire comprehensive program. And so I know a lot of our teachers wanted to do the Orton Gillingham training, but we felt like having a comprehensive program was more beneficial than sending, and the asynchronous is hard with Orton if you can't be there in person or you can't have an in-person trainer, and that was Amy's #1 feedback. She said if we can't get somebody in person, it's going to be really tough. And so we kind of felt like this was going to be our role in getting a comprehensive program and getting the teachers trained in that comprehensive program versus just the methodology. And they've all been trained in letters, which is pretty similar to Orton. So we felt like they had the good basis. This would just take it to the next step.
And don't forget, our high school staff is required to have it done this year too by state statute.
State statute in June, and it just went into effect July 1. We will start training all of our ELA up here. It starts with 6th grade, next year 7th and 8th, and it moves on through. Luckily, that's only 2 people really for us. But we'll get them trained this year.
But all the high school staff will have to have it in the next 3-4 years.
Right, yeah, so we'll get everybody trained in that stuff.
Are all those teachers that they were reluctant and they wanted to go the other route, are they all good now?
No, I don't know that they are, but I think there's a disconnect, and I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this better. Orton Gillingham is just a methodology. It's not a program. And I think they still are stuck thinking it's a program for the students. And
Yeah.
so I'm having Lorraine try to help me present that it's the methodology of teaching versus like a comprehensive program.
At some point, could you do that?
Yeah, and we're working on that.
We're working on
I
that.
thought we had it, because I had her kind of explain when she came and toured the building, a lot of those teachers were here. And I thought we had it, and then when I came back from fair, that's not what it was. And so then I was like, okay, I gotta regroup, I'm sorry, let me try
Yeah.
to present this another way. And I will apologize, I have not relayed that to this building, so any that thought they were gonna get trained in this building, that's totally on me, and I will take that fault or whatever, for not communicating that well over here to these staff members. But we just felt like a comprehensive program was going to be way more beneficial for our students than just training teachers in a methodology of phonics.
And once they
education.
understand,
Yeah.
that will be helpful.
I think so.
Yeah, I think the other part of
You can
the,
always go back and revisit that methodology if you
Right.
want to.
Yes,
There's nothing that
yes,
says
and
you
it's not off
can't.
the table. We
It's
just
not,
thought
yeah.
the whole program might be better. And in the meantime, until we were able to get Lorraine situated and brought on, we started with U-Fly,
Right.
which Randa was very familiar with and kind of got them
Okay.
rolling in
Yeah.
U-Fly. And so we have programs rolling with the dyslexia. It's just a miscommunication on my part. And then, so just trying to provide those training opportunities and letting teachers know, like, what do you want to be trained in? Like, communicate
Yeah.
that with us, tell us where you want training. That's my next steps in trying to make sure we provide that for that.
and two things on the manager's report. We've got to give Cindy Moreau from EMU Ruidoso and her a lot of credit, because when we've given the presentation, they gave us the pathways. They presented us, this is your time to fail before you get to college. This is try it now. Have that expectation. It says, we'll work with you. And Cindy's trying to work out a schedule to be up here or help to advise. But also our CN partners with Kelly Springfield, they're working on bringing career counselors in that are general college people or career people to assist. So there's going to be a lot of support for those kids. So if they're struggling, they need to get to either Randa, Amanda, or I, and we can do some study groups or do some support groups to help those kids with that. That was the most impressive thing at Roscoe, when you saw those dual enrollment kids working in their high school together on those classes, and a lot of collaborations going on with that. So I think that was the key part, because Cindy kind of said, this is your time to try it free.
Right.
If you're struggling, get with us, because they're going to treat our kids like they're on campus with the counseling services at the EMU Ruidoso.
Right.
They can do a virtual counseling session, or they can do an in-person counseling session, and if they want to go to campus. And the other thing about the associate degree too is, if our students are able to enroll and want to go on campus and have that experience, I know Hadley did that this summer to get ready for college, you can now do it earlier with them.
Right.
If you're willing to go down and go into an in-person class down there, they're willing to support you just like you're a regular college student, but they will still communicate with the high schools of what their dual enrollment struggles are if they're having it. And that's why we're so impressed with EMU Ruidoso, because they've had Sydney there now, this is her third year. The consistencies there were Clovis. We've had 4 different dual enrollment contacts in almost 2 years I've been here.
Right.
So there's no consistency of what the message is.
Yeah.
And I think the other part on the dyslexia piece, that's that everybody needs to understand that methodology is still part of the entire program. That is a science of reading project that was taught in letters, that is a strict part of that. And I think making that connection to the overall program with the methodology, I think once that gets put in place, I think all those fears will be put aside, and you'll see a more consistent approach across the district, instead of having Orton Gillingham till 3rd grade, and then what do we piece in if those kids are struggling.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions?
I do have a question, just to help me. So in your new position that you have now, can you generally explain to us what, like, I know you're principal, of course you're superintendent, what is your position? Like, what are the big lifts or the generalities of what you do now?
So as director of curriculum, if there's training or questions on the curriculum itself, that is my job to find that for the teachers.
So
or to
kind of like a
connect them.
counselor, if you will.
Ish.
For
yeah.
teachers,
Yeah, for
Okay.
teachers and
Yeah.
for students. I
And
should-
students as well. She has also enrolled, helps with dual
Yeah.
enrollment.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's without having to, if I wanted the counselor title, I would have to go back to school for a counseling degree.
I see.
So this is allowing me to do a lot of that without
Okay,
that degree per se. if that makes any sense.
Okay,
So,
I'm with you.
I mean, I'm not doing the like psychological counseling. We still have somebody else that comes in and
Right.
does that. But it's
Okay.
the career counseling,
The-
the curriculum counseling.
Gotcha.
Like what is
Getting them ready
direction.
for,
Yeah.
making sure they're moving through
Yes.
like they're supposed to, and then getting them ready for next steps.
Yes.
Whether it's the elementary into the high school to college, or whatever next steps are. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, ladies. Public comment.
You
Anna?
were public.
Hi, guys. My comment.
Does anyone online have anything that they want to share? Okay, I'm going to assume silence is no. Okay, now we're going to move on to action items. Okay, the first one here, this is a remote presentation. It's a consideration of an approval of a resolution proposing the general obligation bond ballot question and capital improvements tax ballot question, and other matters relating thereto.
Okay, we have Brad Angst from Stiefel and Heather Boone from Cuddy McCarthy, who's the attorneys that helped develop the bond. So Brad, do you want to go first, and then Heather, you can go through the process we're approving tonight?
Yeah, happy to. We can go that route. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Brad Angst, Stiefel Public Finance. We serve as y'all's financial advisor, bond advisor. My colleague Nick Kane sends his regards. We were double booked this evening, but I'm happy to be here with y'all. So in front of you, you have two items. You have the 2 mil, which is your SB 9 levy. That's the capital improvement maintenance levy. We're asking you to consider sending it out to your voters for renewal so that you can continue to keep that maintenance revenue coming in over the next 6 years. So that is the first item. Another one within that is a GO bond, general obligation bond ballot question. And tonight we're simply asking you to consider sending it to the voters. This is a $3.5 million GO bond question. The impact from this would maintain your mill levy the same as it's going to be this year, so just above 7 mills, and that would continue for the next 4 years, and then it would start to decline. The timing of this is important. You have an opportunity here to work with PSFA and the PSCOC to get quite a bit of state matching funds. Your schools have been ranked into the top 100, which provides an opportunity to get potentially a replacement school or a combination school with a lot of state matching. And the rules are, if you're above the current metric of 7 mills, which you are going to just exceed this year, and you're at near bonding capacity, if you do your local contribution, which would be this 3.5 mills that they would provide for the difference in the cost of a school. So you all have about 65,000 square feet is what the PSFA is estimated for a combination school at about $700 a square foot, which is the average cost per square foot, believe it or not, across the state. It totals nearly $50 million project. So for about $3.5 million of local dollars, y'all can potentially get a $50 million replacement school. So we,
Brad?
You're set up, you're a bit.
I have a question. So you keep saying 3.5, but on the text here, if I'm looking at this right and understanding you, it shows 2.5?
Forgive me, yes ma'am, 2.5. I got
Okay.
that stuck in my head. But I have
No,
my
you're-
materials as well.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure this was correct.
That is correct. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay.
So even kind of bigger return on your investment there with the $2.5 million local contribution, can potentially get up to about a $50 million school. So this resolution tonight, I'll let Ms. Boone talk about the process and what it does, but it's simply you all approve it going in front of voters so that they can make that decision if they want to proceed or not. So I'll pause there and hand it to Ms. Boone, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Thank you, Mr. Angst, and thank you, the board and superintendent. I appreciate the opportunity to come and present. We have before you the resolution for the November 4th, 2025 regular local election. The process at this point is that the board, should you approve the resolution to seek putting the two questions on the ballot tonight, they must be submitted to each of your county clerks within 70 days before the election. So by August 26th, these need to be filed with each of the clerks of the county, so Lincoln, Socorro, and Torrance. And you'll see the resolution authorizes these two ballot questions to be submitted to your voters, the district voters. And the first one, like Mr. Eng said, is a $2.5 million general obligation bond. And you'll see the purposes that are included there. And we try to make these as inclusive as possible, so as broad as possible, so that we can use it for whatever purposes the district needs once they are voted in, hopefully by the voters. The second is going to be that 2 mil SB9, which has a very long list of items that it can be used for. And pretty straightforward resolution, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
On this shorter one for the general obligation school bond, this is probably cookie cutter language. So this is, I guess, a question for you all based on your expertise. Do you think that the mill language should be included so voters know the impacts, or do you think it's the way it's written will answer questions that voters normally have?
So in terms of the ballot language, we take that from the New Mexico statutes.
Okay. So
that's why you have these specific categories, and what the SB9 is a lot longer, but it matches the statutory language.
To follow up on that, typically the way this will be presented, and we recommend several town hall type meetings, making sure you properly discuss these items, what the impact is to the taxes, if what it looks like in the repayment period, but really trying to be as transparent as possible with your voters and giving folks every opportunity to understand why you're putting this in front of them, what it means for their future tax bills, but also what it means for the community and the ability to renew and update your facilities. It's kind of a rare time, and the ability for you all to be able to do this. You were ranked 89. It actually dropped to 92 with the final values from PSFA. And only the top 100, get these opportunities. We had another district that recently just updated some fire alarm systems. It actually kicked them out of the top 100 from in the 80s to about 113. So you're kind of at that sweet spot right now. If the board does decide to move with this election tonight, to send it to the voters, we recommend that you follow up with the PSFA pretty quickly and get an application into them. There's an application period that's open right now through September 1st. And so while you're ranked high, and then they'll go through their application process, and the award of those applications actually happens mid-November, which would be just after your GO bond election, so they know, if voters supported you all going this route, and then just a week or a couple weeks after that, you'd know if you had that support from PSFA as well.
And once you do the application, you're locked. You can't be moved off of that top 100 list.
That is correct. It's a little bit more than just submitting an application when you lock that in. But yes, ma'am, if you start that process, there's a point. They're not going to do recalculate until next summer, I believe, is when they do it. So you do have some time while you're still top 100.
What caused us to move from the 80s down to 92?
Other districts that got downgraded.
Like he was talking
Yeah,
about.
like
the
what
fire
happened,
system.
you had ones that would go one way, and then you would have districts that would go ahead of us that do that. And then, Brad, didn't PSFA go to rolling applications, and you go present in front of PSCOC on building projects?
They did that for the last year or two. That trial period has ended. We've been encouraging them and suggesting that they go back to that and renew that process. But this year, no sir, it's there's a couple of application windows. It's not rolling.
And this new bond, the general obligation bond, that will not raise property taxes for our community?
That is correct, sir. I do want to be clear about your 2024 bond, though, and how that's shaping up. So when y'all sold your 2024 bond, the way we structured it was so that the mill levy would come up above 7. So you went halfway last year, and this year it goes to we're calculating 7.2. So it's going from 5.9 to 7.2 this year. So 1.3 increase for the 24 bond. However, what I'm telling you is it won't go above the 7.2 in the future. So it would hold steady. It would not be any additional increase. That 7 mil levy mark is what you need to be in the running and be considered by PSFA. And so if you sent this to the voters and they said no, next year your mill levy is going to drop. So it's just above this 7 for right now, and you can hold it steady. It would not need any increase.
Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if we keep our 7 mils or higher than 7 mils, our wind income increases as well.
On the
properties, yeah.
On the property taxes.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. The windmills do pay a significant portion of that debt service levy and the revenue, but as far as the flow, and if they have some payment in lieu of taxes or some other abatements set up at the county, I'd have to look into that to verify.
I'm almost positive that's what Jeremy told us.
Yeah.
And Anita Taylor when they set it up, and I think that's the thing that Jeremy sent us. It's been a while.
The amortization, the way that,
Yeah.
that works.
And the other thing is
But it would
the,
change
yeah.
if we get above the 7. It increases.
And the other thing, Barb, take into account the additional business properties they're adding on this. That goes on the roll, that rolls on every 6 months when they do the reassessment, so. So we should be pretty good beneficially from the wind side of this with the additional properties and getting above 7.
That makes sense, payment
Yeah.
for the taxes.
Yeah.
That's if it goes up, then that,
Yeah.
Okay.
That helps.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board on these items? Do you all have more questions? Do we need more discussion? Okay. So does the board want to approve the resolutions this evening for these folks to move forward in getting this ready to go on the ballot?
I so move.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather and Brad.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
And
very welcome.
What's that?
two quick reminders. One is that the resolution does need to get filed. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but in the 3 counties, and it's due no later than August 26th, or it will not appear on the ballot.
Right.
And then the second reminder,
Heather.
as Brad said,
I've got it here. We're gonna take care of it, get it ready.
great. Great, and then the other one is just remember when you are discussing the ballot questions that you can ask voters to vote, but you cannot ask voters to vote in favor or against the ballot measures. So just a quick reminder, thank you very much.
We can only share
Yeah, good.
general information.
Yep.
Okay, good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, good point. Thanks for bringing it up, Ms. Nunez. Now that you voted and approved it,
So is
you have
that,
to just keep it to the factual information.
is that just the board, or is that?
District.
All,
It's
all
every-
this.
We can't spend
Okay.
funding
Yeah.
to
Okay.
promote
Okay.
voting.
What you do at family reunions is up to you guys, that's all I'm gonna say.
Or if you had a private
We're
donor
happy to
who
review
wanted to
any
do
Yeah.
something,
materials you put together.
you could do
Yeah.
that.
Say that again?
If you had a private donor, so
Yeah.
a private organization that wanted to support getting that out,
I
but
see.
the district
Yeah.
can't
I
sponsor
see.
that.
Anyone that is employed or a representation
Correct.
of, gotcha. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you all, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. All right. Thank you all. Next item is the approval of the contract for the auditing services for the next audit. And Curtis was sharing that we only got one proposal.
One fully executed proposal. We had some that said they were going to submit and then chose last minute to submit that they weren't going to submit. So Rice was the one that came through. Vicki and I both have experience working with them, and they were the ones that came through with the complete list, and they did it based on the cost per hour with a max of $25,000 for all three. So it's a daily or hourly rate that they are charging inside of that for all the audits that we will do. I'm not sure we will qualify for the federal audit because I'm not sure we're over that threshold. So we should be okay with those, and then the billing would come through. But that is the auditor that submitted the only complete comprehensive proposal.
And we've worked with her a lot in the past.
Yeah. She's very good. I've worked with her very good in the past. It's funny because Vicki had her at the REC, and then we had her at Silver, or we flipped. We had them first, and then Stone McGee and Bryce split between us. So we're familiar. They're very thorough, very active, so I'm asking a request for that. And then I have to report to the auditor's office tomorrow. Then I can notify them that they've been approved by the auditor's office to proceed.
I so move.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Okay, next item. Discussion on possible board action on nomination and approval of 2 board members to serve on the Finance Committee. Vicki, you're on.
So So law requires that the school boards have a finance committee and an audit committee, and that you have 2 members serve on those. They're 2 different purposes. The finance committee can make a decision. Generally, they meet quarterly when districts are on quarterly reporting to the public education department, which Corona is. That means you're in good standing, basically, if you report quarterly. Sometimes they meet monthly. It's really at the will of the committee. But the idea is to dig more deeper into, like, did we have POs when can we look at the vouchers for that check, and can we see did POs get in place before that? Did we follow procurement? They tend to do more random checks of things, of testing internal controls, and then asking deeper questions before the board meeting, so that if there are questions about the financials, we can kind of go through those in more in-depth. So when we think about quarterly, July 1st to June 30th is this first quarter of this new fiscal year. So we would meet sometime in October, probably around the second, third week. We just decide, and we would review the quarterlies for the first quarter. And then the board member, one of the board members usually then reports at the next school board meeting, just a quick summary of what was discussed, if there were any findings that were found, things that they're working on, just a kind of a big broad overview. So that's the process, is that you meet the month after the quarter ends and then report to the board at the next board meeting on any findings or information, not necessarily findings like audits, just I'm thinking in terms of just like information related to it. And then the audit committee really exists only during the audit time. There's an entry meeting, there's some check-in meetings, and then the closing meeting.
And so are you, to make sure I understand, it's just one committee, finance/audit, or you're wanting two?
It is 2 separate committees.
And you're wanting, for segregation purposes, then you're wanting
Different people
on,
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter when it doesn't specify. It just says no more than 2, so you don't have a quorum.
Right. Okay. Do you guys have any questions
Well,
before we open the floor?
Finance does require, they both require 2. I shouldn't say it no more than 2. They do require 2,
At least
but
2.
I mean,
At
yeah,
least 2.
audit has
And if not
2.
more, I mean, if you want it, right?
Then we'd have to go through open meetings,
Quorum,
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, so everybody
post it.
understand the ask here before we open the floor for nominations?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so the floor is open for nominations for the Finance Committee first. I need 2 board members to be nominated with, of course, they have to accept. And then once we have 2 that accept nominations, then we'll close that one and open for audit. So floor open for nominations for Finance Committee.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Okay, so, you know, Cody's not here, so.
Since Robbie got
Don't show
appointed
up.
secretary, not showing up.
Audit committee.
Yeah, you
I
have.
served my time.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So Barbara Soltemeyer and Alina Brandenberger for the Finance Committee?
Yes.
Okay, okay, I accept.
I accept.
Okay. Nominations closed. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed?
Okay, hold it.
Just kidding.
Did you get the first and the second for the vote? You had the nominations, then you got to do a nomination to vote the audit committee on, to make sure we're in compliance.
Okay, so I need a
No, no,
motion, I need a motion to put those that were nominated on the committee.
So moved.
Second.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
There you go.
there you go. All right, now the floor is open for the nominations for the audit committee.
I would love to nominate Kyle and Cody.
I said he's
He's smiling too.
You don't have a grudge or anything, Robbie, do you, from the last time?
Hold on, you haven't had to do anything.
But you only have to do it like 3 times.
Well, he will tonight. He'll earn his paycheck tonight.
And it's done virtually. The
Yeah.
audit committees are generally done virtually.
Yeah.
And it's only, what, 3 times?
Yeah, 3 times a
So
year.
the exit and then the board?
There's usually 1 or 2 in the middle, but
Oh, okay.
they're quick.
Yeah.
So Cody's not here to accept or reject, so how does that work?
We voluntold him.
Yeah, I
Well,
You have a
usually
quorum.
in the past practice, the board president usually is on the audit committee because he has to help with the presentations like that and one other
That makes
board
sense.
member. So
Okay. All right,
Robbie can strong arm him since he got him secretary. He's on audit committee now, so I think it's a fair shake.
So I need a motion to approve
Can we do
the,
that if Cody's not here to accept?
yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the.
We did it to Robbie.
Oh, yeah, so he has to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no.
Majority passes. Okay.
And Barbara said.
I so moved. Yeah, okay.
And who seconded?
Barbara.
Oh,
Barbara.
okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you all. Is that
Thank
what
you.
you need?
That's
All
what we
right.
need to be
Perfect.
compliant. Yes, thank you.
And y'all will make sure and let us know in
Yes,
advance. so-
and
okay.
we can talk about what would be, just have a quick conversation about what makes the most sense in terms of time and when and Zoom, in person, whatever you guys want to do.
Congratulations. All right. Okay, next item is discussion and possible board action on the, oh, we already did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that.
All right, we're now down to discussion items and updates. So teacher housing update.
Okay, first, the Odyssey of the Johnson Modular Home. We have the title official and the plates are in the mail to us because it's a modular home. We had to go through DMV to get it titled and everything else, and there were some documents that had to be added additionally. Because of the prior plate number and everything else, all those things are gonna be transferred to us. I started the process as of Monday to make it a permanent residence in Corona with the county. So we had to submit a form to the county for them to say it's no longer gonna be a modular home. It's gonna be pounded permanently on school district property. So it gets the tax waiver that is necessary for it instead of it being a motor vehicle. So we'd be exempt from property tax being a school and education. So that'll take roughly 3 to 6 weeks for the county, once I get the official title and take it down to them and show that we have full possession of it with the plate and that it is gonna be mounted up on that lot permanently. So it was a little bit of a chore because we got answers from 3 different DMVs on what the process was to get it approved. So finally, we went to a modular home titler in Santa Fe through our attorneys, and they got the process all the way through. So as of Monday, it was officially ours with all the documentation submitted. Now we just got to get the county paperwork done. On the teacher housing demo project.
Okay, so before you go there.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, just to make sure I'm clear, the school owns that home and that property?
Yes.
Okay,
We own a modular home now.
okay. So with that being said, who dictates what happens with that? Is it the school board, or where does that authority? It's the school board that, because the school owns that property.
According to the county, since it's already been up there and was on it, and you're planning on mounting it there, it'd be easiest to do it there. If you move it to another lot, you're gonna have to title it on that lot or make it a permanent property. That's why I'm working with the county on what the process is of what that home is to stay. So is that the question you're asking, if it's gonna stay permanently on that lot or?
No, who
The
gets
use.
to decide what
Right.
happens to it? Is it the board or is it the superintendent?
What, the use of that house?
Yeah.
Underneath policy with housing, it falls underneath the superintendent. Because it's teacher housing. Is that
Yes,
the
that was my
question?
Yes.
It's teacher.
Yeah.
I just didn't
Yeah.
know. Okay, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and then on teacher demo, we've gone through our now 4th project manager of Monday, but I got good news today. is that our demo person has been cleared to come on site to start the prep work for the demo and do that. We are using Maristar out of Albuquerque to come down and do the demo. So the teacher housing project, they're going to start the prep work next week and hopefully have the following week, which would be the 21st, no, it would be 28th. Hopefully within 3 days after they get the prep work and everything cleared with them, the project will come down. And we are now currently starting the next phase of the teacher housing project to go to get the site prep and the house bids on that. PSFA has given us okay to go through public state contract. So we will use a state approved vendor, and there's only 2 in the state that will be able to bid on it. But they are looking at doing state contract because it's been delayed so long, so we have to go to the RFP and have it. So they do have state contracts with 2 vendors right now.
Okay, so as far as all of that goes, the timeline to have those houses up and ready is when?
Hopefully it'll take them 2 to 4 weeks to site prep and 4 weeks to set. So they're hoping if we can get the demo done by the end of this month, worst case scenario, it's the end of October.
And how many teachers were needing housing?
We lost 2 because we were going to provide housing because they went to other districts that had them that we did.
Okay. We lost 2 teachers.
We have 1 right now that's doing it. We lost 2 prospects because we only had 1 house. And that's what happened with that. So they're going to try to fast track this, understanding that, and trying to make sure we get the project done because it was supposed to be done by August 1, according to PSFA's timeline, but because we've had 4 different project managers, it keeps getting recycled through. So now we've got the final project manager because the contact Larry Tolson, the deputy director up there, they're getting this through, and then starting on Monday next week, once PSFA gets the clearance and gives the okay for them to come on site, which is hopefully tomorrow, they can get the contracts or the state contracts for site prep and the houses going simultaneously while they do that.
And you're the project lead on that, right?
Yeah, I'm the contact for PSFA on that right now.
Okay, could you do us a favor?
Yeah.
Just so we all have it in front of us, and you too, would you send us out, it can be each board meeting, whatever works best for you.
Yeah.
But if you could get like a project management schedule so that we all have it and we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's the next step of what's going to happen with PSFA now. Now that we get the demo going, they'll start the timeline to do that. But now we got demo going. It should not be. We just had to make sure we got the demo on project management chart.
That would be great. And then if we can just keep that updated, because I know we're going to have a lot of different projects, that will help me.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of you. Are y'all okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Curtis.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? You're all good? No. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Security.
Okay. Security fencing. The third contractor ditched us and never showed up. So we do have 2 bids, one just with a chain link fence and then one with a more higher security fence. But neither one of them have the electronic gates that are put on them for the parking lots. So that is just fencing around the school grounds. So the rough estimate of the chain link fence just to cover around the grounds and like that was roughly about $176,000 to put that in with the egress and the push gates and everything else. For the higher ones, the electronic gates with the more secure security fence, keep in mind that doesn't include the exterior electric going to them and the gates. This is just for that fencing and setting them up for use, was about $375,000, and that's the more dense metal that is there. Amanda can talk to you a little bit more about the intertwine of it for the blacking, because we had it blacked out for the entire campus as opposed just to the playground area. But that doesn't include covering parking lots, electronic gates, and like that. For the security, if you remember correctly, our law enforcement at Ponsbo said securing the parking lots with electronic gates would be the best option to go. There is a general contractor willing to come down and look at the entire job and look at it from that way. It also does not include any of the exterior cameras focused on the roads that CAMNet will be looking at when they come to do the doors, of where they could put those cameras, if they can use existing cameras for the exterior. And if we need to tie the electric into that gate project, we can have that contractor do it.
Where's he out of?
He's actually, the one that works with CamNet is actually out of Albuquerque.
And then the other gentleman that's willing to.
Both the contractors we had, one of them was out of Albuquerque, the other one was Bernalillo office, but they have office down south. The one that didn't show up was the one from Roswell. So we do have those, and the general contractor that CamNet works with is actually located in Albuquerque, that they've done a lot of work with. So I can contact Angela tomorrow if we want to make sure we're also including the exterior cameras and electrics for the parking lot gates. We can have that done as well. But right now, the fence itself with the push gates and everything else is about $374,000, but that doesn't include parking lots and electronic gates.
So the higher one, the 375, that's a dense, that's
Yeah.
a blackout,
Yeah.
what nobody can see.
Yeah.
How high is that?
In certain areas, according to the gentleman that I took around campus, in certain areas, it's up to 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
And they would have to set it outside of the retaining walls, which would then encroach on the sidewalk a little bit. That didn't seem to be a concern for them, but the retaining walls pose like a clear, they're gonna jump over the fence. Even on a 12-foot wall, somebody could jump on those walls and jump over the fence. So they proposed to put it outside. That's why it's an entire campus enclosement versus just a playground. There's too many walls, there's too many levels. That was not even,
Right.
they looked at it and they were like, that's not even feasible.
Right.
So it would be around the entire campus.
And so that 375 doesn't include parking lots?
No.
But we want to include the parking lots, and so what would that be, close to 500,000?
Don't know, we have to figure out where to run the electric from, because you have to run the electric to that if you're gonna do it. You might as well run it for the telescoping cameras on the corner to get to sites of the road, because the only camera you get a really clear sight on the road is one up on the corner of the rock building where we have to take down a tree. That's where that was done by Verkada to make sure they could view the road up there. But none of the other cameras can get far enough out, or they're coming around the corner before you can see anybody coming. They're suggesting that we look at putting on the corner of each of our lots, on each of the four corners, the telescoping camera to look down each of the roads so you have multiple points of access, you can see it.
So
The
what's the
discussion-
status of the cameras at this point?
Cameras, we're working on that. The entry cards are being done right now by Verkada, since with the sensors, they did get the sensors to work on the door. The ones that, when we're going to recalibrate them, when we put the 6 new doors in that are
No, but
coming
I mean
in.
the cameras, the extra cameras, so we can see everything,
They're all working now.
even the extra ones.
As far as I know.
Yeah, they're all operational. The ones that we don't have are the ones that are telescoping to the road to
That's
see
what I'm
access
talking
in.
about.
That's what we have to ask, because they have to get a general contractor out there to run the electric out to those cameras with low voltage.
When we had the conversation and I took them around campus, that really only included 3 electronic gates.
Yeah.
That would be the teacher lot and the 2 on the upper lot, the 2 at the back, so the one going into the cafeteria and the one going between the auditorium and the old cafeteria would be manual gates.
Yeah.
But then that also included 7
Yeah.
man gates, like you would, each of these sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
would have a
Yeah.
man
Yeah.
gate that was blocked so that you couldn't reach in and push the bar, and then it would key card entry or whatever. So
Okay.
each of those gates also requires electricity and things running to each of those gates. But the panel, I mean, the thicker one, just if we're going for a new building, those can be
Moved.
taken down and set aside and set up again later.
The
The
black
chain
one.
link,
Yeah.
once you stretch it, you
Yeah.
can't use it
Can't
again.
use that
Yeah.
again, yeah.
So, things to keep in mind as you think about.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board as far as giving direction to Curtis and Amanda?
I don't think we have a choice. I think for the safety of our kids and our students and parents and staff, we gotta go with the bigger one.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I
yeah,
I
and
think
the
it's a
price
no-brainer.
difference isn't enough to, I mean, you can't put a price tag on safety.
You guys talk to the parents, what do you
Yeah.
think, what do you think the community or the parents will want?
Yeah, what is,
I think they just want a fence. I don't
They just
think-
want a fence.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't think they care, they just want a fence. They
Sure.
feel like that provides a layer of safety.
The parents that have talked to me, they want a,
they want a
they
robust
want a
fence.
high, you can't see through fence. So those were the
That's what I-
both of the
I
I
ones
haven't had any
that
parents come talk about a fence, so I don't know.
I've also had parents concerned though, I have had conversations with a couple parents that are concerned about still having access to their kids. The reason they want them here They can come get their kid anytime they want to. If these are all manual gates because we can't get electronics to them, it's going to take a bit, like for them to call somebody, have them come open a gate, get them into the school,
You'll
get
be
their
able
kid.
to eventually
I mean,
get electronic, won't you?
Well, that's the
I think
hope, but I'm just
that's
saying, I
yeah.
think there's feedback on both sides. I think the majority just want a fence, a high fence that's gonna protect their kids. There are a couple though that are concerned about still having
But you know, at the end of the
access to their
day,
children,
they'll
but
still
I think.
have access to their
Yeah.
kid.
Right.
I mean, no, we're not gonna deny them.
Right.
But I
yeah.
think overall, the safety is the first. I mean, like, I hear it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I hear that what they're saying, but at the end of the day.
Those are the same parents though
Except
that
if they're
freaked out
like-
when we locked the doors.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest and trying to give you the whole information.
Although
the
they're
doors locked now?
RC, and I would have been asking for a reward.
They work,
for her,
like,
so.
Yeah.
So we can take that
You
sign
guys
down,
pay
or?
me
Which
to
sign?
take her.
No, we're still gonna have to do it because sometimes our kids, well, the doorbells will be working. We can take it down, but though sometimes we're not at a computer, so we still want them to call a cell phone. You know, because like if we're out dealing with a situation or whatever, that way they still have another one. Usually Hannah, Randa, or I are in this building, and Nicole's pretty good up in their building with that, with the doorbell ringing, but sometimes we do get busy and there's nobody at those desks, so we let them call that number and then we can get somebody there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have 5 administrative iPads coming that will
Yeah.
help alleviate some of that also, that we will be more mobile and be able to answer those
Yeah.
things.
Well,
And
I
it
would
gives
rather
the
a
kids,
parent.
like,
be stuck
yanking on the
outside.
doors.
Yeah, me too.
Because we can look at the redesign too.
Pulling
Well, if we
on
do
those
electronic
doors.
gates on the full perimeter, do we still have to lock the doors to the buildings? Or would the gates be considered?
That gates would be secure
Well,
enough
some
to do it,
parents,
but
you know, said, well, that's not gonna help, so why don't we just have both and then maybe.
And lock all the
everybody
doors?
will-
because Robbie, the other thing we can do is on the design of the fence with Quarry Western. One of the designs was to take it to prevent penetration into the building and put that sturdy fence out by the road. Or we could create the fence and then just put it by the sidewalks and still allow them walkways into, like, only directing them to this door from that road.
Oh, yeah.
So that way, but that's gonna be a change of our thinking for our, because most of our parents are used to coming from up there down. So we have to look at that design, but that's gonna be part of the things we have to do to educate the parents on what's going on with this. But there was a couple designs of putting one completely across just to keep it a completely enclosed campus perimeter. But if we wanna have access, an entry point, as they call them, like Tri West said, we can set it up where we do a diagonal fence off the gym up, because our kids still go out to gym that way sometimes, but we're gonna have to tell them, you gotta go out this way and around now. So it'll just make it that way. We can do either an angular fence or a square fence along that sidewalk coming up. This is just a rough sketch. The final design will be once they get everything ready to go in place and we know where we gotta put the electric. This was their best guess right now. If we're going with electric gates, and I get hold of Camnet tomorrow, have them get their general contractor down here to see what they need to do to run electric to those gates that we will have, to allow them to come in. That will be when the final design phase comes in. But they were comfortable with putting their quote in around $375,000. And it is, like Amanda said, it is removable. We can use it, and if we get the new building, we pass that vote, we go forward, we can take that fence, they can remove it, save it, and we can use it in the next phase of the project as part of our match.
Which
To
we
build
can't
it.
do with chain link.
We can't do a chain link.
Stretched out, it's done.
So it's, what he said is basically a 10-year investment. You'll get a return on your investment if you get a new building immediately, but if you were gonna do it, your return on investment's 10 years as you renovate a building or whatever. So you're looking at this, if you're gonna add that to your project, it lowers your, hopefully it lowers your cost on your $50 million project down to 47.
And does that also add us higher on that list of schools that qualify?
I don't want to tell PSFA, I don't know if security fencing is one of those things. It's actually the structure and
I don't think it shouldn't be.
I don't think the fence will.
Is that it would push us back over.
I don't think it'll push, I don't think a security fence will push us to that limit, because we put in one around the playground down in Hagerman, and we stayed at, well, that was when they had the first 125, we were 113, we stayed at 113 the next year when they did the assessment. So I don't think it's gonna add anything to the value. They look more at the systems and the general status of the buildings you're in for that.
So this doesn't include electronic gates, but they can come later once we figure out what it is.
Once we figure out what it is, yeah, we can set it up to do it that way. The manual gates we can put in, and there was also a design that TriWest said that they could do, because Amanda called me, that if we have that parking lot open, they could put a secondary fence with an electronic gate up along
At the sidewalk.
the walkway and go inside our parking lot and go to the walkway towards that, and they could do something like that. But if we want to get it set up for electronic gates, we need to get CAMnet in here to show us what they need to do for their systems, then we can look at adding those gates later. Because we'll still need them regardless. If two of the sites that I talked about, we're sitting in one right now, but the other one is the old cafeteria down from up there. So that we can keep both these buildings operational if we get a building, and we can still have class while they're doing the construction, instead of rotating buildings and causing chaos for everybody. That's going to be a decision the board does when we get to the design phase if the levy passes. So we can still keep those electronic gates on that side to secure it if we build here or here. So and those electronic gates are movable too, from what CAMnet told us with what their software is. And what TriWest says, we can move those gates as long as nobody runs them over with a truck or whatever. They'll still be usable.
Well, it sounds like the pleasure of the board is to go with the blackout, taller
Okay.
fence. And I'm just gonna say, my recommendation, and I know we can decide this down the road, but even if we go that route, I still think you gotta keep the doors locked, because you still have things that seep through occasionally.
Yeah.
And you just gotta have those checks and balances in place, and because I went through that at the co-op. We had gated parking for the employees, and every now and then, when the gate would open, someone would, not on purpose, they would still get through, and they were in the wrong place. They should have been in the member parking, not the employee parking, but they still couldn't get in through our doors. And then that's when we'd find out, hey, you're in the wrong spot. You need to be over on the public access side. So it happens.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to have, and I'm sure you guys would agree working here, it's just
Yeah.
nice to have that extra verification in place. That's just my 2 cents.
And Amanda and I went to security trainings last year in Las Cruces. They keep talking about layers of security. From the curb to the door inside, curb to the fence to the, keep those layers in to make it difficult for an intruder to get in. And there was even a suggestion on the one chain link fence, if we didn't want to go all the way around, we could put huge pillars in front and just fence off right here, and then they would put in like concrete pillars that are blockade so people can drive up in and those types of things. But that, hearing what the board is, I'll get hold of CAMnet tomorrow, look and see what the electric, and I'll get them to do the quote on those external cameras on the corner too, because it's going to play into this fence project.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Okay.
but did I hear we're waiting on 6 new doors? Did I hear that?
No, they're in order. We're waiting for them to be installed next week.
Okay.
Okay,
I was just assuming it was gonna get done this summer.
Well, here's what happened, is because the initial ones that were done, we're just replacing the 6 doors that the fire marshal had said. It's these 2 entry doors, the 2 to the elementary, the pre-K, and the pod doors. Those are the ones that we're definitely changing. We had quotes on just changing hardware and hinges. We're replacing all the doors now. So that way they're secure, because that was a recommendation made by, even the fence company noticed it, that when they came in, it says, you just replace the doors, it's gonna be worth it. And those are also doors that we can move and use in other places if we keep things as they go. They're gonna be reusables too, because that's part of the code that was done. So that PO was cut, they came in and did final measurements next week, and they're trying to get on campus the week of the 28th.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, strategic planning.
Okay, CES, we've entered into an agreement with them. They are working with 3 other districts, so we're number 4. So what I would like to do is present to David Chavez, who assigns the facilitators for strategic planning. The first date we'd like to see it. His first opening is the last 2 weeks of September because of the statewide CES meetings in the 3 districts he's already working with. And then a determination of whether you want this to be a 6-week process or a 6-month process. And then we can work on dates around your calendar. So we're looking at the last 2 weeks of September to set up the first public meeting on this. And we will have to announce it as a quote-unquote working session of the board, because he would like to have all 5 board members there if possible at that meeting.
And what's the difference between 6 week versus 6 month?
Depends on how quick you want to get it done. So if you wanted, because there's 6 landmark dates that he wants to have, there is a district that's doing 1 a week for a month and a half. He would not recommend that if we were doing it for the first time. This district's done a strategic plan before. He's recommending that 3 to 6 months span to look at, so we can do the community assessment, gather then, do the work session with the board, bring in the focus groups that he's going to want to have another work session with the board, finalize the plan and proposal at a community meeting, and then have a board action at the last meeting and a work session and a board. So if you want to look at, if you want to get the first date, I can work with David on the additional landmarks. If you give me a time frame of 3 to 6 months, David can look at what that would look like and see what dates are available to come down with the facilitator they're looking at. So if we can get the first date locked in tonight of what the board would look at, we could go forward, and then we can work from there on the next 5 dates.
Okay, so what's yours and staff's recommendation?
Good question, because we gotta look at the volleyball schedule.
Okay.
Wednesdays seem to be pretty good because we don't have a volleyball date usually on there, because we've usually done Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then Fridays, Saturdays for those events. So either a Monday night or a Wednesday night in the last 2 weeks of September should be open.
And you're wanting, I guess my question is, okay, what is y'all's recommendation in doing the 6 week versus the 6 month?
I think it's better to gather more information than do it quickly, and we can be able to disseminate and talk about it more. So if you want to look at a 3 to 6 month range, we can set the first date that I get with David.
Gotcha.
And then he can tell us, here's what a 3 month timeline would look like, a 6 month timeline would look like.
Okay, sounds good.
So that way, we're not rushing it. Since this is the first time we've significantly done a strategic plan, he recommends slow. He's saying he doesn't want to recommend it because he doesn't want to influence boards, but the more thorough and strategic we are in the process, the better. So he says the longer the better, so that way we can make sure we touch all the bases of the expectation of the board and the community and the administration and teachers.
Okay.
So if we can set a date, I can give them the Monday and Wednesdays of the last 2 weeks of September and see if they're available. And then we can go that way, and then we can look at what those next, with a 3 month and a 6 month
Sounds good.
plan out. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah, I don't have my calendar. so-
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's on server.
Yours on your.
Yeah, it's on a server.
Okay, please, if you would.
Okay, okay, Monday, Wednesday, last 2 weeks of September. And then a 3 and 6 month timeline. Okay. That'll be done.
Well, in doing 6 months, that's what I was looking at, because normally when I've been involved in strat planning, it's, you get through that, gives you and your staff time, your board, you decide how you're gonna proceed, and then it gives whoever's putting the budget together time to have all those items, and, because that's, usually things are tied to monetary. So if we do the 6 month deal, we start in September, October, November, December. So that would be done by the end of February. I'm not sure what else hangs out there. What does that do to you?
No, that's plenty of time.
That's fine.
Okay.
The spring budget will be in April this year.
Okay, so we're good.
Will it be April?
Last week of March, early
No,
April.
it'll probably be
looking.
March because it's only a 30-day session.
What was told by NMASBO is they were looking at delaying it to make sure everything, so instead of rushing it, they want to do it the last week, but that means that's what they're talking about now. You know how it
we
works,
should be
Vicki.
good.
Yeah, we should be good either way if we get it
should
done
be
by the
good.
end of February, early March.
Okay.
Yeah, for
All right.
sure. That's plenty.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, so next. You guys have any, Amanda, Randa, any of y'all have input? Hannah?
I've never been through the process, so.
Okay.
Talking to the guy, it seems like it's gonna be pretty extensive.
Yeah.
So I think the 6 month would,
Be better.
Okay.
because there's a lot, I mean, just listening to that guy, I was like,
Well, I think making sure
Yeah.
every voice is heard, I mean,
Yeah, that's what they try to do.
I love strategic planning.
Mhm.
Okay.
I do too.
All right,
I know,
thank you, Chris
weird.
and folks. All right, next item. Oh, this one's.
That's yours.
All right, so I've actually kind of had this in the back of my mind for a few years. Especially I think now it's super important, you know, a lot of the parents and the public had approached us back in April that they wanted more communication, information. We're making some great changes. And so I think that, and this is a conversation, and I know Cody's not here to yay or nay this, but I think that the culture has to start at the top, meeting with the board, and then radiate down accordingly. And what I heard, and you know, this was voiced at our last board meeting, is more participation and buy-in from the board. So this, I thought about this even more because I've been toying with it for the last few years. I think that it would send a strong message to the administration and the teachers and the parents if the board would be willing to, as long as the school had no problem supplying like hot dogs. 99 Cattle could do the hamburger. But like if the school could do the hot dogs or what have you, and maybe like the buns and such, if the board would be willing to serve our administration, teachers, parents, students at the end of the, and I don't know
When
if
is
it's
the end of 9 weeks? When is
It would be
October.
second Thursday, what is it?
October 9th.
Yeah, the second Thursday of October.
And I don't know if it would be better to do it like during the parent-teacher conferences that evening, or if, you know, you all tell us, if the board is in favor, this is just my idea, I wanted to get the full board, you know, what your thoughts would be, and then take it from there.
I'm gonna,
That's a great idea.
just my thoughts on the parent-teacher conference, they filter in so slowly throughout the day that that probably would not be the best day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna throw that out there.
Okay, no, that's why I wanted to know.
And we might get parents here that don't really ever come and really need to come
Because there's a free meal.
because there's a free meal.
It is amazing with food.
It's amazing what we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so I would say just, yeah. I mean, I don't know, because I
Well,
know.
we could even I don't think it's off the table that we couldn't stagger parent-teacher conferences if those
No.
our parents are here and they don't want to come back the next because they live so far out or whatever. I'm
Right.
sure the teachers would be happy. to
The
say,
other
Yeah,
option-
you guys figured that part out. but I'm
The
just
other
saying,
option we could
People
do,
might show up that never show up if we feed them.
Right, that's true.
And usually those are the parents that really need to be here. The ones that come don't really need to be here. That's been our experience, so,
we could tie it in with the
just saying.
Avid CEN dual enrollment, have that night and tie it with literacy night like we do. That could be a great way to get all the high school and elementary parents here. And then we could set it up. Hopefully it's not raining in late September, early October when we do this. We'd set it up outside between both buildings and make that like a little courtyard and do those things. But we could tie it into something like that. Because parent-teacher conference is chaotic enough for the teachers on that end to get them away. Where it's a little bit more loose structured, where you can work with parents and do that and be out there with that and have some activities associated with it. We could look at our literacy night or math nights that we do with REC 9.
And when is that?
We haven't said it yet
Oh,
because
okay.
Jennifer's not been here yet. So
Okay, comes tomorrow or next
she'll be here tomorrow or next Thursday.
And then if y'all
Okay.
could set them
Yeah.
like away from like all the fairs, I don't know when you're thinking that, if it's further out or.
If it's in October, it needs to be like, there's a small time frame.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, get ready to go to
Get
nationals
ready,
too.
yes.
Right,
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, how do you board members
Oh,
feel
that's
about
a
something
great
like
idea.
that? Okay. Okay.
So we wanna do it.
Cody will just
Okay.
keep on told.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chairman.
Thank you, guys. I think it's a good message to say. Okay? So we'll plan to do that. Let us know
Yeah.
what some.
We'll work on,
dates
once
and
we
we'll
know
go
what it
from
is,
there.
we can get it worked out.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one. Next one is the policy review, committee versus board of the whole.
Okay, I was asked by Joe Guillen, okay, if we get the, we're gonna start getting, now we're a member of NMSBA, we're gonna get the monthly policy review. He would like to, he tries to get a gauge of what districts want. Is the board gonna do that at monthly meetings with all the policy revisions that come down, because there's a process we have to follow? Or do you wanna have a committee do that? I told him we've done it always by committee of the whole when policy's been brought up. I've got no problem doing that, but Joe wants to know, because he's looking at doing some different things with policy revisions and working if you have a committee versus two-person or versus the board. That way he can look at some trainings and like that for staff that could be done. If you want to still do committees of the whole, I'll still get the information on the trainings for that. So I just wanted to get a sense of whether we want to do policy review, kind of like we did with audit and finance committee, with having two board members reviewing it and bring it forward with recommendation, or do it completely as a board.
I completely zoned out, I don't even know.
It's better that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the minutes.
So to make sure I understand, so it would be broken out where if we had a committee.
I have it on recording, so.
You could do this in more incremental
Yes.
and get more involved in the weeds versus what we've been doing.
Yeah.
In drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Yes.
I like the idea of knowing more what's in those policies. That's just me. So that's just my opinion.
Instead of us allowing you to go through it every night. Committee.
And the whole board would still have to review policies.
Still have to review it.
And approve policies.
But you would have to do board members be able to know what was in that policy, the discussions that were had by it. They can be done virtually, and there could be additional trainings through NMSBA they can do virtually. Sometimes they do specific webinars on changes in policies that you could have the committee attend as opposed to having the whole board, which would be a meeting. So there's pros and cons to both ways. It's just the preference of the board of whether they want to have two people become the policy to relay it out and then have the discussion, or if you want the whole board to review it as it goes on.
So this is a committee to go to a webinar, whatever, and listen.
Or internally, as we get those policy updates, they come to us. You're going to start getting packets now, emailed to you as a board member, of the policy recommendation changes NMSBA is making.
Okay.
So then we decide as a board whether we're going to implement those changes or not implement those changes, or we take those changes and we put our own language into those policies that do it. So do you want the entire board to be doing that, or do you want two board members to bring that forward to talk to the board about what the recommendations are?
Could it?
So those two would need to know what the policy was.
Yeah.
And what the
What they
recommendation
changed.
is. And how often do they do this?
But they usually send them out monthly, but there's sometimes where you go 3 months without it. But I can tell you, as Vic and I can say, usually after legislative session, the busiest months are March, April, May, and June, when NMSBA is doing all that. And then the ones that go into effect the following school year are usually in July.
And this is a requirement, or this is because Joe Guillen just asked?
No, it's the NMSBA policy review. The board has to review it and decide whether up, because they're usually the legal changes that are made during the legislative session. So we make sure our policy is up to date, concurrent with law.
I have a question while you're pondering. Does it have to be, can it be a board member and a staff member?
No, it has to be two board members.
Two board members.
Because this is a committee of the board, it's not a committee of the district. Yeah.
Boards and policies.
Yeah.
It's your
I
policy.
mean, if we're all gonna get them anyway, they're gonna email it to you either
Yeah.
way.
That's true. Or
Yeah.
they get them on the web.
Okay, what's the pleasure? Just do it as a whole board
I'm
fine
when they
with
come
that.
out?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that
Okay.
too.
Okay,
Okay.
so longer board meetings, basically.
When they come out.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Usually what they're sent out within the first 7 days of the month.
So the reason for our review, though, we have no say in their change. There's just-
Yeah, you do.
Whether we adopt it or not.
Whether you adopt it or not, so that's your say. Or you change and amend it.
Yeah, modifier.
So even if they make the change, we don't necessarily have to adopt it.
Exactly.
So the ones that we've been doing the readings on, the various readings, and there's some that we're done with and some that are still in progress. There was gonna be a review, because there were a few things in a few of them, and I don't remember what the numbers were, that I know I brought up, I had some questions and issues on. Has anyone internally been reviewing those policies to make sure the cookie cutter policies that are brought to us by the state, that there's not anything in there that we want to tweak before we do the final reading and we put them in place?
You already did the final reading in June.
So they're all.
Now what it is we go through the revision process, and Dan Castile is working with
That's
us to
this.
go through
Okay,
with
so-
this, so yeah.
Okay, so my question, so has anyone internally, there were some that we had issues with. And there was gonna be that day of reckoning where we're gonna be able to handle those. Is there anybody that has a list of those or that has been going through to get those particular items so that we can modify and tweak according to this board?
Dan Castile, who is our policy advisor, has that list. He has not reached back out to me yet because he's still working on those revisions.
Okay.
So yes, there is a review. So when we went and did the policies, he was giving those ideas. He's going to do his recommendations on what the change would be. Then ultimately you're going to have to act on it. But it's going to be a again, this is one of those things where if the board wants to have all that, I've got to get with Dan to outline what those changes were and go back through those notes with him. So he has that list, but he's the one person for all 89 districts. So I'll see when he can be available to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the things that we brought up or that we asked as far as our culture here, there is a list of those things in those policies that this school and this school board, we need to consider modifying on our policies.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And when will that occur?
I don't know. I got to get a hold of Dan. He hasn't responded back. So I will have to get hold. Like I said, he's one guy for 89 districts. So I'll try to get a hold of him to see what he can do.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. Y'all have any more questions on that? Are y'all good? Good on that? All right. Okay. Last item we have here before executive session. Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up?
I do. Have we done anything about the bus route for Melvin Johnson and the grandkids?
Yes.
So they're being picked up and taken or whatever it is.
I finally got written consent this afternoon, so in the morning.
Because he's been called.
Well, yeah, we just had, and I've been trying to reach out to the parent.
Right.
And hadn't been successful with that, and then
Okay.
she finally started contacting us, and we were
Okay.
able to get that going.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Anybody else?
No, ma'am.
Does anyone else have anything else they want to bring up? You want to discuss? Okay. Anybody online? All right. Okay. Next item is we're going into executive session.
I can't see.
Recording stop.
My
Segment.
vision is a little blurry here.
Keep that on for this. They have to make a motion to go into executive.
Oh, sorry.
7:49.
You got to vote first.
So you gotta make a motion.
Who made the motion?
They didn't. That's what I'm.
Dang it, where did my, I heard
All those
second
in
already.
favor going into executive session?
Dang it. Sorry, that was my fault.
Robbie?
Aye, sorry.
Sorry, you're good.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Melina, aye.
Barb made and Rob seconded.
Okay.
And Robbie second, or?
Yeah.
I-
No, Robbie did.
Robbie.
Thank you.
Okay.
7:49? Yep. 7:59, 7:49.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on the thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Y'all are free to leave.